Dark call me Bill Snatcher, just the brother for the rapture. I hang glide, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifested. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my sacred life.
Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the manga. And for anime only fans, this is the time of the month where a lot of the content that we talk about here on the channel is going to be spoiler heavy, so I thank you for your support. However, if you're still here, I'm assuming you guys are all caught up with the Boruto manga and you do not care about me talking about spoilers, or in this case me talking about speculative theories that are going to be based off of stuff that takes place in the actual manga. So with that being said though, let's jump right into the actual discussion. So I want to take the time out now to actually discuss with you guys the importance of this Boruto Uzumaki execution squad, which is essentially a group that Code has assembled for the sole purpose of hunting down Boruto Uzumaki. So it's easy to focus on the fact that Code wants to get vengeance on Naruto, because so many of us watching Naruto go from being an academy student who couldn't use the clone jutsu and failed the academy graduation exam 3 separate times to all of a sudden this guy's Hokage. He's no longer an orphan. He's got a whole family to come home to every day. We've watched Naruto's growth. So it's very easy to look at somebody like Code who wants to assassinate Naruto and say, how dare you put hands on Naruto and make Himawari cry? Which, as a reminder, you can stop Himawari from crying by smashing the like button. It costs you absolutely nothing. However, the other thing though is that Code also wants to track down Boruto Uzumaki for the purpose of feeding Boruto to the Ten Tails. And I want to talk to you about the significance of it and why I actually like this idea behind it, because when you look at the Boruto franchise, what Boruto does is it parallels a lot of the stuff that Naruto did, and really Naruto's a franchise. A lot of the stuff that was happening to Naruto and his generation, they were basically paralleling events that happened with prior generations. Every generation there's some type of a actual mirror between events, and so having Boruto in a situation where just like his father was being hunted down by the Akatsuki wanted to extract the Nine Tails from Naruto's body, and they were doing so for their own evil purposes. You now have a new organization in Kara that's being led by Code, who's being assisted by Ada and Daemon for the sole purpose of hunting down Boruto, and in this case not extracting the power that's inside of him, but instead taking advantage of the fact that Boruto's body is 80% Otsutsuki. Boruto is far enough along that his body can actually be fed over to the Ten Tails, and once Boruto's body is fed to the Ten Tails, Code can actually eat the chakra fruit that is going to be produced from that, and you're in a situation where Code can start that process of fulfilling Isshiki Otsutsuki's wish of having Code turn himself into an Otsutsuki God by upgrading his actual DNA. I personally think that Isshiki's using that as a way to actually revive himself. That remains to be seen. However, this idea of Boruto being hunted down, while it is easy to say this is a rehash of what you saw in Naruto, I think the circumstances are different enough to where it's going to be interesting to see how Boruto goes on his own journey. Just as Team 7's journey wasn't the same as Team Minato's journey, they broke that cycle. They didn't necessarily go the same route of the legendary Sannin either. I think you're going to see different variations of what happens between Boruto's journey under these circumstances and what happened with Naruto when Naruto was going through his threat when it comes to the actual Akatsuki. And I like this idea that you have 3 people that represent 3 separate aspects of Boruto's character, because we have to remember something. This Boruto / Naruto execution squad, yes, they're going after these characters because Code wants to get vengeance on these characters for taking out Isshiki Otsutsuki, but you also have to remember that in the early part of the Boruto manga, it was directly stated that the beginning of the story was both Boruto and Naruto's story, but only the beginning, and that Naruto only played a small part in the beginning because it was both of their stories. But Boruto says that this is his story, which means that at some point after the time skip, this becomes a story solely about Boruto Uzumaki, which means that he has has his own cross to actually carry. So with these characters of Code, Ada, and Daemon, you're seeing three separate aspects of the character. So with the character of Code, you're seeing the representation of the sins of the father slash the sins of the sensei. Boruto is gonna have to actually pay for that. Yes, Boruto played a role in Isshiki being taken down, but those are essentially sins of Naruto and Sasuke that he's gonna have to actually atone for. And so I like the idea of Boruto having to face down Code for that reason right there, because Code has looked at it and essentially said, killing off Naruto, killing off Sasuke's not going to be enough for me to actually seek some form of satisfaction. And so I like that you're gonna see that aspect right there. What I like about Daemon is that Daemon is a character that represents what happens when you give into that actual bloodlust and you begin to lose yourself, because Daemon is a character that has no problem killing anybody, but he still has that childlike mentality. And with the character Daemon, he represents something for Boruto in the sense of what Nagato did. Nagato, through his actions, through his decisions, through what he took away from Naruto, forced Naruto to stop acting like a child. I think it's very ironic that Daemon, a very childlike and malicious character, has the opportunity to really break Boruto out of that mold, because Boruto, even though he's gone through some things since he's been introduced to Kawaki, Boruto very much is still a very spoiled child. Boruto is still very childish and bratty. Even after the fact in the manga, Shikamaru directly says, "You are such a brat, you're worse than your father was at his age." And the fact is that Daemon has the opportunity, whether it be Daemon taking away Sasuke from Boruto, which it does look like it's actually possible, because we know for certain, based on the character profile sheet of 16-year-old Boruto, that Boruto is carrying Sasuke's sword. Unless Sasuke just gives Boruto his sword for no reason, that's a pretty huge indication that something happened to Sasuke right there. But the fact is that you're looking at a situation where Daemon can force Boruto to stop being a child and truly become the young man that he needs to become in order to face the trials and tribulations that are awaiting him. The other thing is that just as Naruto had to find a non-violent way to actually deal with Nagato once he was confronted with them face to face, Boruto has to do the same thing, and it's because of the necessity to stay alive. Because if you come at Daemon with bloodlust and killing intent, Daemon's ability will reflect and you will die. And so this is one of those things where just as Naruto had to tackle his own internal demons, Daemon's gonna force the same thing out of Boruto when they interact. His way of actually talking to and understanding Daemon's going to be different. Boruto's going to be able to use that common bond of Boruto having a sister that he loves himself and that he wants to protect, much in the same way that Daemon has that bond and affection for Ada. Boruto could potentially use that as a way to actually level with the character of Daemon and potentially use that as a way to actually have Daemon's ability shut down. And then with the character of Ada, you're looking at a character that knows all things that happened in the past, which means she will know everything about Boruto. That's a character that has knowledge, and that's a character that for Boruto represents the importance of understanding the mistakes of the past so as to not actually repeat them in the actual future. And also the other thing is with Ada's ability for love, you're in a situation where Ada hasn't been able to experience true love. Boruto understands those true bonds and feelings. Those feelings that Ada is trying to seek out for herself, Boruto has those feelings. And I think that looking at Ada and seeing a character that does not understand what it's like to truly be loved by people that love you for you, not for what you're doing, not for what you can actually do for them, but they sincerely love you, that's going to strengthen Boruto's resolve to actually protect those people that he cares for. And so I like what these characters actually represent for Boruto, and I think that they're actually, for these reasons, the best characters to make up this Boruto execution squad that Boruto is going to have to treat as antagonists. Obviously, we're going to have the greater Otsutsuki threat that's going to come later on down the line. We're going to have Kawaki as an actual antagonist or anti-hero that has to be dealt with. So eventually those are things that are going to have to be crossed. And so I do like this idea of using them in the short term or potentially the short long term in order to challenge the character of Boruto, because That's one of the things that Boruto as a character needs. He needs an external threat that directly conflicts with his internal desires. You need that internal conflict that Boruto has that he's struggling with. It needs to manifest, and it needs a strong external threat that challenges Boruto's actual beliefs, and I think that each of these characters represents a way to actually do that. However, I want to know from you guys, what do you guys think about these three characters being not just a Naruto execution squad, but also a Boruto execution squad as well? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.